Good to be home. Missed you guys last week. Where I was absolutely beautiful. I went to Vermont with my wife. We left the kids home. Went to visit my sister in this beautiful, bucolic place that makes me feel like, wow, I just really want to live in Vermont in the summer. Not much of a snow person. But the opportunities that it was just beautiful. My sister lives on 3 acres of land that is surrounded by 70 acres of farmland. And her house, her back porch looks out over this farmland that goes up to the hills of Vermont. It's just like you wake up and sip up a cup of coffee or tea at the time and just absorb the beauty of this situation. And it was just delightful. It was rejuvenating. But that's not what today's talk is about. You ever get a case of the gatas? Get a bad case of the gatas? Oh, I gotta go to work, I gotta go shopping, I gotta put the clothes away, I gotta do the laundry, I gotta pick up after the kids, I gotta take care of the kids, I gotta not take care of the kids, I gotta. This is the nature of our daily lives, right? And there all the time, I'm sitting around and going, I got, and the list can get really long, really quickly, just in any given day. And sometimes it gets away from you and the gatas take over and you get guilty about the things that I didn't get done on my I gotta list. And then you start feeling, oh my God, tomorrow's gonna be so packed with all of the stuff I gotta do. And it can be overwhelming. So in New Thought, we are always talking about changing our thinking to change our experience. And about prayer and affirmations and meditation. And our prayers actually don't change one little thing about God. Because God's got nothing to change into. It's the whole package deal. Right? And so what our prayers do is change our awareness of the gift of life and all of the good that surrounds us. Have you ever noticed that you can be going through your I gotta, and sometimes you go through the I gotta list and it starts getting you a little aggravated, you know? And the heat and the temperature of the attitude starts rising and you're saying, well, if I gotta, how come they don't gotta? Right? And then all of a sudden, the steam starts pouring out your ears. Well, they should be because I got it. You ever notice that doesn't work? That the person that gets the anger and the resentment and the trouble is the person who's actually having the resentment, not the person you're resenting. Because they're going, I got my own goddess, right, that I'm dealing with. And when we get in that state, okay, New Thought is not about wishing. Our prayers are not about trying to move God to do something for us. It's about changing the way we are perceiving life because the universe, or what we call God, that infinite power, that source of love, everything is always responding to us, through us and as us, with precision. This is why we can get into that place where we're going, I gotta, but I'm saying my affirmations. I am happy, joyous, and free with all the time to do all the things I desire to do. And I gotta. How come I'm not feeling happy, joyous, and having all the time to do the things that I want to do? Right? And sometimes we can get into a prayer and we're trying to move our consciousness from a place of a condition that we want to change by visualizing and verbalizing the condition that we would like to be experiencing. And we're saying it with all of the fervor we can muster in that time. And the words come out and they can be beautiful and eloquent or perhaps even heartfelt at the moment, and things don't seem to change. You ever notice that? Anybody ever have that experience? I do this professionally, and I've had that experience of not seeming to see what's changing in the prayer. And what it is that the universe is responding not so much to our words, but to the atmosphere of our belief, the tendency of what we tend to think about. So when we're saying our affirmations and our prayers, and that gotta list is running around in the background, and that feeling is not there that says, yes, this is really mine today, because in fact the gotta list is what we feel is ours. I gotta. And so we walk through that. Now, there's a happy ending to this. There really is. Because the purpose of a practical prayer is to change our thinking in a logical, progressive manner that moves us from a place where we used to believe something else to a new belief system that recognizes the good that is already present. And it can be a big leap at one time, or it might be progressive, in the same way that affirmations are progressive. Has anybody ever worked with an affirmation that finally became part of your experience? Oh yeah, they work. You ever notice the first week or so that didn't seem like it was working? Perhaps, right? I am opulently wealthy. I gotta pay the bills, right? And sometimes, but then you turn around and one day you look at it, you've been working with your affirmation for a while, and it starts to sink into your belief system, and all of a sudden you change your attitude and your perception, and you start noticing, I got this little bit of extra money coming in that I wasn't expecting, or this person gave me this thing that I desired and I didn't have to pay for it at all. It's not that the universe has changed, it's that we've changed our thinking by this affirmation to recognize the good that is already surrounding us. Prayers are the same thing. It is to align our minds with this idea of unfolding into a new experience, a new understanding that the good that we are seeking is right here and right now. So, what I was talking about, the tendency of our thinking is when we're sitting there talking about the I gotta list all the time and getting upset about them gotta too, right? What is it the universe is responding to? The words that we're mouthing, or the belief that we hold, with all of the power of the resentment and anger that you put behind it, or overwhelmment, pick your one of any negative information or emotion, and all that power that you put behind what your day-to-day living is bringing you in your experience. So I had a little suggestion. See, we are the authors of our lives. What if that's really true? We are the author of our lives. The wholeness of what we think and believe is what we're going to tend to experience in our lives. Now, there may be little bits of that that are not quite in full alignment with what we believe, because I hate to be the one to tell you this, but there are 7 billion people on the planet all doing this, right? So sometimes we rub up against a belief system that's completely out of whack with our own belief system, which is actually an opportunity to change our belief system to an even greater level of awareness. But for the most part, we tend to experience that which we expect to experience, that which we believe we are worthy of, that which is the wholeness that we have come to believe is our life, including the I gotta lists. In fact, mostly the I gotta list, because the I gotta list is what we deal with on a day-to-day basis. So if we're the author of our own life, and the universe is responding to us, do you think it's handy to keep that I gotta list all the time? I'm going to say yes, with a little shift. Just a little shift. You see, I gotta lists are the nature of our lives. We work in the day-to-day mode. We are working in today's experience of what we have to do today, right? So if you need to get a paycheck to pay your bills and you got to get up to go to work, then that's a reality in your life. If you hit the lottery, you're not going to have to do that anymore. But in the meantime, you're probably going to have to do something to make a living. If not to make a living because you're so situated as to have all the money that you desire to have in the moment, you have creative expression to deal with. How are you going to be in the world? What are you going to fill your time with? All of those things are good, but the shift is in our thinking about how we look at it. So you can say, I gotta, or you can say, oh boy, I get to. I get to do this today. Because what we do when we can do this little shift in our thinking from I gotta do this, which is a burden, right? We feel that as a burden. That's the nature of like, oh, I gotta do this, right? When, oh boy, I get to do this. Like last Saturday morning, I was in a real, oh boy, I get to go to Vermont and hang out, right? And I realized while I was up there that coming back, I was starting to get to, oh, I gotta go back to work tomorrow. And I thought, no, not at all. It's not that I gotta go back to work. I get to go back to work tomorrow. I get to express myself creatively for the enterprise for which I work in the day world, to do all of the good things that that brings into other people's lives, as well as my own. And if we can change our thinking from I gotta to I get to, then the emotion behind it starts shifting around. And this is the importance of affirmations in prayer. When we are working with affirmations in prayer, if they are just hollow words, they are still good words, but they haven't reached down into the depths of your experience yet to bring forward the emotion that can be that joy, that expression of love, that expression of enthusiasm, that is the natural state of being that resides within us. So we work at it with the affirmations. We work at it with the prayers. And when the prayer works, it's not that something outside of us has changed. It is something inside of us has changed. We have developed a deep awareness of a new reality which we are accepting and claiming as our own in this life's moment right now. And that's the shift. And you know how you can tell that happened? Because it happened. I've noticed something. People do not continue to pray and affirm for things that they are already experiencing. Right? I think I'll make a prayer for breath. Not necessary, you're doing that one. This is true of all the avenues of our lives where we want to experience a greater portion of the good that is available to us. As we do this prayer to open up our consciousness, our thinking, and our belief structure at an unconscious level to recognize that the good is already present, and whatever we've been doing to deny that good with our gotta list is what's blocking us from experiencing it. So as you go through the day, as you go through the week, I challenge you to stop when you find yourself getting that kind of droopy, worn out feeling of, oh, I gotta do this. And perhaps change your thinking just enough. If you don't stop and do an affirmation, you can. That's a great idea. I think it's perfectly fine. But to take a moment and change your thinking to the gratitude of what that activity is going to bring to the world. So let's say it's as simple as doing the dishes. This is one of my big I gottas. If I can turn my thinking from, oh, I gotta do the dishes again, to, I desire to have a clean and orderly environment in which to live, to enjoy walking into my space and not see a mess, and to provide that same experience for the other people using the room. All of a sudden, I'm starting to get my head into a place of gratitude for this service that I'm providing, that I have the ability to provide. And each one of us has that opportunity in every day to turn our thinking from a burden to a gift, to a service, to making the world a better place. And little by little, we can all make the world a better place by changing our attitude to, oh boy, I get to. Today I get to be with people who are endeavoring in the same direction I am. That's kind of a work-related. Today I get the opportunity to drive my car, or take the bus, or take a walk. Right? Sometimes we forget this is a privilege, not a right. You know, these are privileges that we get to live with. Today I get up and be an expression of love in the world and help someone else to heal to the realization of their own truth. That's a beautiful thing to do. And it could just be with a smile and holding the door for someone at Wawa. My favorite place of congeniality and courtesy. It's bringing back a level of civility that has not been seen in quite some time. Right? People hold the door at Wawa and they say, "Thank you very much. You're very welcome. That's fine." People smile coming in and out of there, even if it's just amazing. It's amazing, but it shows what can happen when an attitude in a place generates. Now, we can be the ones who generate that attitude. We have the choice in every moment to respond with steam coming out of our ears because somebody's not doing what you think they ought to be doing. Or to say, okay, what can I do to make this a better situation at this moment? Perhaps it's a relationship. I find that in my own relationships, the only time that I really get angry is when they're not doing what I think they ought to be doing. It's a pretty natural human response. And they get angry at me for the same thing, right? So I try not to cast stones in that house. It is made of glass. And I look at it and say, you know, and this is one that we were talking about in our prayer group a little while ago, that if you're pointing fingers, remember how many are pointing back at you. Because the only time we recognize that somebody else is doing something that we want them to do is because somewhere deep in us, we know we ought to be doing the same thing. And we're not. That happens quite frequently. In everybody's life. It's kind of the nature of life. But we can awaken ourselves to a greater consciousness, a greater awareness that absolutely everything is an expression and an unfoldment of a divine power that is love. That divine power is present right now and always. It is available to us in each and every moment. It can change our consciousness from one of anger and distrust and resentment to love and harmony and a willingness to extend ourselves for the benefit of another person, to make and heal their life better. Just make it better. So sometimes, and I'll leave you with this thought, if you're having a real challenge getting past something that you are not experiencing in your life now, I highly recommend doing professional work with a practitioner to move the consciousness into a place of recognition of the good that is surrounding you and openness to receiving the good that you want to desire. I also recommend that you use practical prayer on a daily basis to move your own consciousness forward. Use affirmations. Please meditate. Get yourself into a place where you can identify in yourself the enthusiasm we all had as children. Because it was there. There was enthusiasm at some point in our lives for life itself. And we can reconnect with that in any given moment that we choose to allow that to emerge through us as a greater expression of this divine love that is present right here and right now. Oh boy, I get to live. I get to be this expression of life, this channel of consciousness, this channel of wisdom, this presence of love. And that's true of me, and it is true of each one of you. I know that. God bless you.